Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about manufacturing and then specifically selling after you've manufactured the item that it is that you have decided that is profitable and that you should be sinking your time, resources into. So I had somebody contact me the other day and I thought this would make a good video. I've done stuff about this in the past, but I thought I would dedicate this entire video to this specifically. And basically, as you can see on screen, really struggling to make any substantial amount of ISK from industry. 95% of what I've found manually and what ISK per hour finds have either horrible profit margins or have great profit margins, but the demand is way too low. For those that don't know, ISK per hour is a very handy tool where you can type in some parameters and it will find you the top selling XYZ depending on obviously what you've put in. A friend and I have teamed up to help each other split the cost of manufacturing. We run 30 manufacturing lines, 15 research copy lines for projects. I did small traversal bulkhead Tech 2s earlier this week, which started with great profit margins and demand. But as the week went on, the market got flooded with sellers and the price started to go near manufacturing cost. I spent hours going through all these items to calculate profit margins and research demand and price trends. I feel that my time could have been spent doing doing trading or doing active money making activities. You are doing really well and constantly from what you tell us, yada yada yada. What am I missing? So let's have a look at the small traversal bulkheads, and we can see here that other than the odd spike back in mid-December, pretty much the price has been relatively flat. And that's fine. The average sell amount is, what, about 500 units? So nothing particularly out the ordinary, really easy going, and not a great deal of spikes or peaks and troughs with this. So as we go on, we can see all of a sudden there is a spike in demand. So we've got all of a sudden the daily quantity here has quadrupled or 10 times overnight, and that is because one of the arena things has started and all of a sudden these became all of a sudden incredibly popular. Now this is where the problem with using specific programs to help you out, because obviously the demand massively outstrips supply, and that leads to the inevitable the price going up. And then we get the inevitable demand starts to slowly dry up and pretty much drops off a cliff as soon as the event has finished or is about to finish, because people have bought their ships, they've fitted them up, they've done their stuff. Now the problem is that it takes time to do inventions. So as you've seen the spike here, you thought, whoa, I want some of that. You started doing invention and that's taken a day, half a day, however long. First of all, you've got to copy the print, you've then got to invent it, and then you've got to manufacture it. And you're probably coming in the market probably on about day 2 or 3. And this is as demand is now starting to drop off. So you have gotten to market, whether it's at peak demand or just off peak demand makes no real difference. So you're coming onto the market to drop your item at a, we can see here, at a huge markup. And so is every other person that has jumped on this bandwagon. And as they say with most people jumping on bandwagons, if you are jumping on the bandwagon, the chances are you have already missed it. And this is always a great scenario for it, because again, you've built the stuff, you've now got it, and now all of a sudden, instead of competing in a normal market, you've got a hyper excited market here. And instead of having the normal handful of people that are doing these, you've all of a sudden got 30, 40, 50 more people doing it, and everybody is trying to get the very best price. So people are aggressively, and you can see here the times, it's not been done particularly recently, but you can see that the times here are so close together, 18 hours, 19, 19, 20, 22, 23. So there are people actively watching this a lot. And that is because obviously they now have stock and they are trying to sell it exactly the same as you. So the question comes back to, well, how do I get around this? And in days past or years past, I would do exactly the same. I would see something spike, I would jump on it, and I would aggressively manage my orders. But back a year ago, before the market changes, you could do that a lot easier because you had the 0.1 ISK change, where now all of a sudden changing an order can be very costly. And if you're doing it again and again and again, it is going to eat into your profits very quickly. So as we said earlier, if you are jumping on a bandwagon and aren't already prepared and ready to go, then you are already too late. And the exact same happened with light missile launchers, and we can see here massive spike, massive decrease, and pretty much leveled back to where it was. Now, I managed to make a good profit here, and that is because, when you can see here, there's one of my sell orders. There's another one. I've got even more. Again, I have managed these somewhat. You can see the last time I edited, that was, what, a day and a half ago, and that one was 6 days ago. Now, I'm not managing these anymore because basically the profit has dropped off enough that it's not worth it. Where if you are first to the market, obviously it is worth aggressively. I'll explain in a second. Right, so you can see here I have been selling light missile launchers by the hundreds, and 4,500 to be more precise. Now, if we click and scroll through, let's have a look. We should have a spike somewhere. Nope, too far. See, oh, here we go. Right, so there was a huge spike, and you can see as these were the normal ones I was selling, which is pretty much where the market is right now. 117, yeah, just under. And you can see here, basically, they were selling out, and I could see these selling out, but the difference is I already had these made, or I had a lot of them made and ready to go. And as well as I also have the BPCs already ready to go. So I don't have to copy anything. I'm not going to bother bringing them up because it's going to take forever. And I don't have to do the invention, which is one of the time-consuming parts. So I already had blueprints already ready to go, and I had a stock of 1,500 already. And you can see as these were selling out, they were selling out really quickly initially, and then the price starts to go up a bit further down. Again, these had spiked enough that I was putting them on the market in smaller batches and then adding some more because the price was, well, it was 150k above where I, wanted to be selling them or were selling them, and all of a sudden we get a huge spike to 2.4 million ISK a piece. Now, I don't think I sell many at 2.4. Nope. And then the price starts to go down. And again, I'm still selling them for 1.6 million ISK, which is, what, 800k above where a build cost. And again, when they run out, by the time I get some more, the price has gone up. And you can see here that basically it's worth managing because it's at such a high amount. And I'm early to the party. And bang, off a cliff, it starts to go, and you can see that the price now goes down and down and down to where we are currently. And I'm not chasing the market. These basically were put on in small enough batches that if they sold, great, and if they didn't, well, it wasn't really an issue. So what am I doing now with the stock that I have? How many have I got sitting left? 824. So I am not actively aggressively trying to get rid of these. I'm going to hold on to these now because the market has got down to a point. Not only is it being oversaturated, so the price and people are aggressively trying to sell their products, I will quite happily sit back and wait. And this is obviously not everybody is in this position. I do understand this, and that, and again, I have never had to deal with the new market as, how do I put this nicely, as a poor. I've always had a lot of it. Since the market changes, I've always had enough ISK that I can sit on things and wait. Where obviously if you are newer to market, selling, trading, manufacturing, then you have obviously to adapt to the new market mechanics for obviously it does cost in order to be able to amend your orders. Which is why I often tell people that, manufacturing industry is something you should be doing on the side and shouldn't be initially your main way of making ISK. Do the active stuff. And the guy pretty much hits it on the head here, but he could have made pretty much more money doing active PvE content, which is probably correct initially, because again, if you haven't got the ISK that you can sit and wait, then you are going to be playing these games of trying to get rid of your inventory, and that is going to cost you a great deal very, very quickly and eat a lot of your profits. That is pretty much it. So yeah, coming back to light missiles, for instance, so all of a sudden we've had exactly the same thing with the traversal bulkheads. We've had general activity, a huge spike, everybody's seen it, everybody's jumped on it, forced the price back down, and now we are going to have people with excess amounts of stock who are desperate to get rid of it, who are going to drive the price down further than it is, pretty much to break-even point. And eventually then builders will stop building because it's no longer profitable, and the market will level back out, and then people will go back to doing their current fad of whatever it is that's making the most ISK. And again, this is why I specifically state that I don't use third-party applications for finding the best items to build. I'm not saying they're bad. By all means, they are a great tool to give you an insight into looking for items to build. But if you are only concentrating on the top X amount of items, you are going to run into this problem a lot, because again, every other single person is doing this as well. And that's not to say that I don't run into it, obviously, but I run into them by accident. Now, I have a rough set of, I like to earn about 150 to 250k per industry slot. And as long as I'm hitting that, I don't really care. I don't need to maximize the amount of ISK. As long as it's trickling in over several accounts, that trickle becomes a nice stream, and that is how I fund pretty much everything that I do. I don't have to maximize it, because again, I'm now in that position where it's no longer a concern. And again, I do empathize with people that are in the situation, but it is a lot harder. How to get around that is basically build up your ISK and, again, put things on the market, wait for them to sell, do your calculations, make sure that you're putting them on at a decent price, or, again, if the market is overinflated, that you're putting them on and managing them appropriately to make sure that you are still making ISK. And again, it comes back down to why I often don't tell people precisely what it is that I'm making right now, because a lot of the time I don't make items always that are profitable right now. I wait for things that have gone into their dip. I can buy a lot of the time the components cheaper, and then I can wait for them to come back. Because again, if you're looking at your graphs, most people are concentrating on the things that are making the most ISK, and they're going to be tanking really quickly, where nobody's concentrating on building the things that aren't making profit. For obvious reasons, it's not making a profit. But if they're not making a profit, no one else is looking at them, no one is building them, and eventually the price is going to start rising. And they're more of the items that I like to concentrate on. Because again, it's a lot easier to catch a market or to profit from a market that's in an upward, an incline, than it is trying to catch a market in a decline. If you are trying to sell in a decline, you're always chasing the market, where in an up climb, the market comes to you. And this is why, and again, the light missile launcher is a great example of why I won't generally touch the orders that are there. So don't intend to change that order, and that is because when the excess here is sold, eventually the market will start going up, and this will trigger me to look at it. So when this buy order, sell order, starts to be bought out, I'll obviously get notifications in my wallet, and I'll go, let's have a look to see what light missile launchers are doing. I will check the time of when I last did it, and basically, yeah, I will then start to sell the rest of my stock that I have. There's no point in me looking until basically the market starts coming back. And again, I'll leave that one, because if all of a sudden the market starts doing weird and crazy things, that will be another trigger there that will allow me to come back to the market without doing any other research. I don't need to be checking light missile launchers continuously. All I need to know is when that mark is hit, and if all of a sudden that one is hit, because obviously that's a decent amount of ISK. It's probably 350k per item. So I'll leave that one where it is, and I'll leave that one where it is. And therefore, I'm not constantly trawling through things trying to find what to buy, build. Again, these triggers and indicators will tell me when I need to be looking at this market a little bit more. And yeah, and again, I've got 800 in stock. I may build some more to have more in stock. And again, the whole cycle just repeats. And again, think of it as a wave. The market goes up, everybody jumps on it, which then forces the wave down. Everybody jumps off because it's not making any money. The wave then comes back up. And you can see this for items all the way around Eve. Well, ones that could be manufactured anyway. And again, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. You get the picture. And again, yeah, we get the odd spike, and that could be, there's 1,001 things that could be the spikes. But the point is, the market is always going up and down, because at the top, everybody's building them, and at the bottom, nobody's building them because they're not making any ISK. Everybody's building, nobody's building. Everybody's building, you get the general idea. And that is possibly the single most important lesson I can give any of you for trading or for manufacturing, is doing your own research and being able to spot the trends and the things to jump on when it's ready, or having the to be able to build the stuff, to sit on it, to wait for it. And again, it really does come back to industry shouldn't initially be your only means of making income. There are, and it's not to say that you can't, but there are probably better ways of making income faster. And again, I've got enough IS now that I can sit and just wait for the market to come back to me. I can sit on that 1,000 missile launchers and not worry about whether it's losing ISK or whether I could be doing something better with it, or. It's just there, it's waiting, and when it triggers, I will start to sell. So I hope that helps. I hope that answers your question. Again, IS per hour and all the other things that tell you how much you can make, blah, 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 per hour, are not bad programs. But you have to remember that if you're seeing it, everybody else is seeing it, and everybody else will be doing it. And as I said, I have blueprint copies, Tech 2 for hundreds of items, which means that basically when it comes around to these spikes, I can get on them straight away, where other people, yourself more than likely, had to copy it, invent it, and then build it, which puts you behind the curve before you've even started. So with that, thanks for your time. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you again soon.